out what pleases the Lord. Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. For it is shameful even to mention what the disobedient do in secret. But everything exposed by the light becomes visible. For it is light that makes everything visible. This is why it is said, "Wake up, O sleeper, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you."
Oh, man. Awesome.
Okay. I shouldn't be standing here right now. For real. God's mercy is just amazing. We all know it's new every day, but for me it's just, I thank him every day for his mercy and his grace. I was born in 1980 to pretty much a broken family. They were already broken. My father was addicted to crystal meth. They had told me pretty much, I'm going to go forward a little bit. When I got a little bit older that, they already had my older brother, he's 18 months older, but they pretty much told me that my mom didn't want to get pregnant again because my dad their marriage was falling apart due to his drug use, and that they got pregnant with me because my dad poked holes in my mom's diaphragm. So they weren't really expecting me, but I came along anyways. So, but God says that I was predestined, and I know that now. But, so anyways, so they divorced when I was about 18 months old. I remember my dad a little bit coming in and out, but I don't have a lot of memories of my father when I was little. Most of my memories are from, with my mom and my grandparents, my brother, and my stepdad, who came into the picture when I was about 5, after several men, that came in and out with my mom. So I just wanted a daddy. I wanted a dad so bad, and I remember asking my stepfather when I was 5, right away. I took to him right away, and he was also a drug addict and an alcoholic. And I said, "Can I call you daddy?" And he said, "No, you have a dad." I said, "Okay," He was very jealous of me. He would pinch me. He would at first, he was, really kind of bad to me. I never said anything to my mom, but I started having nightmares at a really young age, about 5, 6. I would have these horrible, horrible nightmares because my mom and my brother would watch these horror films, and I would have nightmares. Nobody else would have the nightmares but me. And so I remember one night I got up out of my bed and I went and I knocked on my mom's door. I was really afraid and I wanted to go and crawl in bed with her, my stepdad, and he, was coming off drugs and stuff, and he kicked the door open and the doorknob hit me in the face and I flew back. And so from then on out, I crawled in bed with my big brother from about 5 years old till about 9, 10. Sorry. We went to church on and off with my grandma. My dad's whole side is Mormon. For some of you guys know that. So I knew of God. I didn't have a relationship with him. The Jesus they believe in, they don't know, but he's different. It's not the same gospel. So there's a lot of condemnation in that church. I like singing the primary songs and all that stuff, but as I got a little bit older, I didn't want to go anymore. So I don't know if it was just a feeling God was giving me or what, but I didn't want to go. So I was always striving to fit in, at school and stuff. I never really fit in with the other kids. I didn't understand why. I just got teased a lot and stuff. But at 13 years old, I started hanging out with people that were like in their 30s, and so I started drinking and smoking pot, smoking cigarettes. I did my first line of crystal when I was 13 years old. My boyfriend at the time, he was my first boyfriend, he was 13, so I lost my virginity to him. I just wanted to be loved, and he started abusing me after that. The first boyfriend I ever had. He was very abusive. So I started doing more drugs, and he would make me sleep with him in front of his friends. And it was really horrible. But so I just, eventually I left him, and I met my ex-husband, and we were dating for about 6 months, and then I was 14 at the time, he was 18. I said, well, I'm gonna try somebody older, because, this guy's an idiot. And so he ended up going to jail, and I was just getting really bad on drugs. I was running away from home. My mom called my dad up and said, I can't deal with her anymore. My stepdad said, it's either her or me. So either you get rid of your daughter or I'm leaving. So she kicked me out. I moved in with my dad. That was the first time I lived with my dad since I was 18 months old. I was 14. And he'd take me to visit my ex-husband in jail and stuff, and he did about 6 months. He got out, he started selling drugs. I was still using crystal. About 16, I got pregnant with our first daughter, Rhiannon. And I remember doing a line and I'd throw up, and I'd do another line and I'd throw it up, and I'm like, what the hell? I want to get high, And so I stopped, I got a pregnancy test, I found out I'm pregnant, so I stopped using the drugs. I smoked a little bit of pot until I had her, but I stopped using the crystal at least. And then, so my dad was kind of forcing me. At that time, he had gotten clean. He was clean about 15 years probably at that time, maybe less, 10 years or something. But he was forcing me to go to church every Sunday, and I didn't want to go. I didn't really like the Mormon church. When I was pregnant, they said you can't take the sacrament, so there was like a lot of condemnation, a lot of religion. And so, my dad said, well, you're living with me. He was real high up in the Mormon church. This looks bad on me, so you guys got to get married because you guys are having a baby anyway. So I got married at 18. And then he started getting abusive, but I stayed with him. We had my son, Joseph, and then I stayed with him, and then, he got really bad. He got really abusive verbally. He had injured his back at work, and he got worse because he was angry all the time and real grumpy, and he'd smoke pot, and he didn't have pot, so then he was real abusive, verbally and physically. But and then I eventually got tired of it. I separated from him, but I was still sleeping with him, and I got pregnant with Jamie when we were we got divorced, and then I got pregnant with Jamie, and then I just, I started going out with my cousin. I started drinking and, a little bit, going out to bars. I started cheating on him, and that was like my way of like, you're gonna beat me, I'm gonna cheat on you, like that was my way of like getting, and it was horrible, but that's just the way of the world, So anyways, so then I finally one day, we'd gone through ups and downs, we'd split up and we'd get back together, split up. I finally said, I'm done. And he said, well, I want to stay with the kid. I want to keep the kids in the apartment. I said, fine. So I moved in with my mom, started partying and stuff. He ends up selling drugs with the kids in the apartment, and he gets arrested. He gets 3 years in prison. I had to tell the kids, So then by that time, my grandmother on my dad's side passed away, and then my dad went downhill, started using drugs. We all started using drugs together. And my brothers, my dad, and I, my stepmom, we just all, my dad ended up losing her house and stuff. It was crazy, but from then it just got worse. And then I met Alex, the father of my youngest, Emma, and he did a lot of downers, so then I got introduced to Oxycontin and stuff like that, and I started doing heroin, and then I got really, really, really bad. Cops kicked in our door one night, and they took Emma from us, and his mom adopted her. I didn't want to live anymore. It was just so dark. That time was really dark. Alex almost died in an apartment. He overdosed on a bunch of stuff. Took him to the hospital. They said if he didn't bring him, he would have died. We both were just like, what did we do? We lost our daughter. And so I had already lost the other kids too to CPS, and I was just like, I failed again, And then I lost my job and lost everything else pretty much after that. So then Alex pretty much blamed everything on me with the cops and the whole CPS thing. He lied, said that all the needles, everything was mine and all this stuff. And so we didn't, it was pretty bad. We split up and stuff. And then I didn't have anywhere to go. I lost everything, my apartment, my car, everything. And my family didn't want nothing to do with me except for my mom. So I went out and tried to live with her out in Hemet. And then I started shooting up Crystal. And then that's when I really started getting jacked up even more. Like it wasn't bad enough. I remember when I was out there, like my mom, she would try to take me to like, Christian churches, and I know now, like she was the one that was interceding for me and stuff, and so I'd go to these Christian churches and I was like, wow, this is cool, like that was the first time I actually felt the presence of God. And so, and then I started listening to Christian music, and I'd get high and I'd listen to Christian music, and she got me a Bible, and I'd be all tweaked out. I like reading the Bible, and then the more I read it, and like it was becoming so real to me, like this is what he thinks of me, I was hearing all these lies from the enemy, and from whoever I was with, just the abuse and everything, and I'm like, but God really loves me, and I remember my mom actually, she kicked me out, and she couldn't handle me anymore. I was pretty out there, but I moved in with a man out in Hemet, and his house, this was the first time I ever experienced a demonic infestation in a house. It was wild. I mean, really cold spots in the house. Well, I left from there to come down to San Diego to get my winter clothes from my dad's, and when I got back up there, the clothes, there was not a lot of clothes in there, but there was a paper in there on how to pray over a house. It was really weird. I had never, pray over at this house, I don't know. And then all of a sudden there's anointing oil on the dresser, and I'm like, what is going on? This is weird. So I just followed the instructions on how to pray for this house while the guy was gone, And the whole house got really hot, really hot. It was cold in there. And he came over, he's like, did you turn the heater on? I'm like, no. And I was just like, no. But then, of course, it was his house. He didn't get rid of the pornography. He didn't get rid of the drugs. He didn't get rid of the guns. So it was 7 times worse, right? So it says in the Bible, if you open that door, and if you don't, close or whatever, then yeah, it gets 7 times worse. So yeah, so it was pretty bad. But and then let's see. Oh my gosh. At that time, I was using crystal so bad, I knew that was inviting a lot of, it was very diabolical. That drug, when you shoot up, just something about crystal, when you shoot it up, it's just all these demons come. So I had tried to hang myself twice in his house, just I started crying out to God, help me, I can't help myself, I need your help. Well, the guy I was living with, come to find out later, he was snitching on some people. He got caught with guns and drugs, and he didn't want to do time, so it became very dangerous for me to live there. And this guy, he talked me into leaving with him, and the Holy Spirit was trying to tell me not to go. God was trying to tell me, don't go. I went anyways. He told me he was going to give me a guitar for my son for Christmas, and I hadn't seen the kids in a long time, and I was like, at least I'll have something for them, right, to try to make up for all the hurt. Well, I got in his car, and right away, I could just feel this was going to be bad, And so I went, he was driving, and I knew he said he was going over to the Indian reservation where he lived to get the guitar, and he ended up going the other way, and we ended up on the side of a mountain. And I knew that he had a gun in the car and stuff, and I was thinking, is this, something I did, or and I felt in my spirit it was because of the man I was living with. He was ratting, and so they thought they'd get me, to get back at him. But so I cried out to God again, what do I do? What do I do, Lord? And the guy, he had been up for 4 days, and he passed out in the back seat, and God's voice filled the car. It's the first time I ever heard an audible voice. He said, start the car. And I'm like, start the car? What's that going to do? This guy's going to freak out. So I started the car and he drained the gas tank. I got out. The guy gets out, wakes up, gets out. He starts